working on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today. My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Oh wow, this is awesome because I haven't seen you. We haven't seen each other
For a
for
couple
a
of
while.
weeks.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I
So
miss you.
I know. And you know, it really made like this is my week to just Tuesday just because we do the podcast because I love doing podcasts. Can you tell? I love doing podcasts. And you know what? And it's just been and I missed you last week. But you know what?
Yeah.
But life happens.
Well, yeah. Life happens and
And
places
so
and things.
you know, the thing is, though, we are consistently here. And so that's the thing. But we are celebrating that March is Women's History Month.
Yes. So, before we even started, because today, well, first of all, if anybody's just tuning in, this is the time to shine happiness show
Oh,
with
yeah. Welcome to the show, everybody.
So welcome into our world here.
Yeah.
And, basically,
Introduce yourself, Miss Barbara Beckley.
well, before
You
I do
always
that,
forget to do
yes, I'm getting to that.
it.
So before I do the introductions of myself, and Mrs. Queen over here is going to do her introduction, I just want to say welcome to the show. This show has been going on, I think now, Barbara's going to correct me, for 5 years.
It'll be 4 years. We're going into our 5th year.
We're going to our 5th year. So with that, and Barbara said something about Women's History Month.
Yeah.
So we have made history. And I want to point that out
Ooh, I can't wait.
this this whole show today, first of all, is we're the guests. We're the host and the guests today. So we have no guests. It's just me and Barbara today. So we are going to be tuning in with everybody, talking about women's history and how we made history, myself and Barbara, at the same time. And with that, another history with myself. My name is Barbara J. Beckley. I am a purpose and visibility strategist. I've been doing it now since we're talking about years. I'm going to be going on 10 years working with women, especially women in small businesses, to make sure that they're shining. First of all, to make sure that they understand their purpose and really showing up in their purpose. So somebody told me this week, they said, Barbara, I love how you say you need to show up in your purpose. I said, yes. And once you show up in your purpose, you need to be visible in that aspect so people know who you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
People know who you are. So that's what I do basically. And I do it through video. I do it through shows. And it's endless. But the biggest thing, I'm just a cheerleader for women because I just see them shining. I see that diamond in them, as I call it. So that's what I do. So Barbara Ellis, tell them what you do. You're magic because you have magic.
Well, thank you. I'm Barbara Ellison. I'm founder of Wellness Playroom for the best version of you, which is part of why Barb and I get along so well because we have similar goals. We want you to be your best version. The thing is, sometimes that doesn't always come out of the best version. And one of the things that I work with is with late career business professionals who are now facing retirement and they have no idea of who they are outside of their job title or their job description. And so they're facing retirement and who am I? Who am I going to be when I don't have the job or the job title? And that brings us right back to what Barbara talked about was having purpose. What is your purpose? What's your passion? And let's get it together now while you are still working, because then the transition to retirement, because I'm sorry, as much as men love to golf and women like to do other, they like to do social things, you can only do that for so long before all of a sudden you're saying, okay, now what? That honeymoon phase of retirement wears off. And that is what is happening to people. And one of the illustrations that I use is like on this hand, we have your job, your business, whatever it is. On this hand is retirement. This gap in the middle is what nobody's talking about. What are the non-financial, the emotional sides of retirement? And I'm a transformational life trainer. So that's who I work with. Is people to get you to that point where you know who you are within what you're doing now. And it is just phenomenal to help people when I see the light bulb go on and they say, oh, ooh, and most of the time it'll come back to, well, what did you want to do as a kid? And surprisingly, it's like, well, as a kid, I always wanted to do this. And that sparks that little, and that you might, you might not want to do that anymore, but it'll spark something to take the first step. And that's all we're asking people to do. Take the first step. And once you can take that first step, you're on your journey. That's where your journey starts. And it's just awesome. Nope, you're muted. I can't hear you, sweetheart.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure some background was going on. I didn't want you to get cut off. But I was thinking about when you were saying that about, think about when you were a child, what you wanted to do. And then what popped in my head is anything's impossible. And the movie popped in my head with, you're going to laugh at me about it. People laugh. The movie that popped up with the song, because I love the song in this movie with, what is it? The Chocolate Factory, Charles Chocolate Factory.
Oh, Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Willy Wonka. And remember the song in there when it was like, At the end, you some imagination.
Right.
Uh,
Exactly. Yes.
it was so pretty, and I was like, you can do that at any age range.
Exactly.
That's
It's
what I
not
was thinking about. It doesn't have to be just when you're a child thinking about that. You could do that when you're, in your 50s, 60s, 70s. Yes.
exactly. The thing is, lots of times that spark starts as a child. Like for me, as a child, I always wanted to be a teacher.
Hmm.
Then took a I think I've told you this. I took a student teaching class and went, ooh, brother, ooh, no, there's no way I'll ever be a school teacher. Did not want to be, and I knew that. Well, now I love being a trainer. I love it. I love it. I love when I see that light bulb moment go on, that when something I have taught lands. And you
Yes.
see it. It's a physical, absolute thing. And a friend
Mhm.
of mine, she said, that's what she said. She says something one day. One day, she was, we all are in continual learning.
Mhm.
Be a continuous learner. Never, ever, ever stop learning. And one day, I was taking a thing from another friend of mine, Regina, who you know, and all of a sudden, it landed on me. And I absolutely got the concept of what she was teaching me, which I now use in my coaching practice.
Mhm.
And she said, Barb, I have to tell you, I love when things land on you. She said, you can see the light from space. When the light bulb goes on. And it's absolutely the truth. Sometimes because we don't, one of my favorite sayings is, you don't know what you don't know until someone else tells you something that you don't know.
Mhm.
And all you have to do, people, I'm talking to you, I'm talking to somebody right now, just be open to those moments to, oh, I've never thought of that in that way.
Mhm.
Because the four of the worst words in the English language is, I already know that.
That. Oh. That just.
Get those words out of your vocabulary. The other one is that I can't do that. Get those words out of your vocabulary. Age is a number. It is a number on a calendar or on a piece of paper. It is not who you are. There's
You know.
my
You know what I always say? I said, yeah, age is nothing but a number, and I said, if you're still kicking it, you haven't expired yet.
you have it. Exactly. Exactly. And so if you're still here, that means God's not finished with you yet. And
Yes.
I mean, like some of the famous people that have taken off in their later years, Grandma Moses, Colonel Sanders, just some of the actors that are just now coming into their own, that they're now in their 60s and 70s and 80s.
Mhm.
It's just it's just amazing. And so
Amazing.
don't let the naysayers, oh, you're too old for that. You're never too old. I
Never.
saw a picture of a woman. She was a bodybuilder, 80 years old, and you should have seen the weights that she was lifting. I was like, that's how I want to be when I'm 80. I mean, and that's only going to be in 7 years. Um,
With my mind every time. Every time.
yeah, I'm going to be
Wow, you
74 in
superwoman.
May.
You are superwoman to me, lady. Wow. Wow.
Thank
Wow.
you. I feel good. I I feel good. And one of the things that I always say sometimes is that people don't know what feeling good really feels like
Mm,
until you get onto, and this isn't a sales pitch, but just get onto some elite nutrition.
yeah.
Try it. You never, yeah, I mean, your body responds to, it was meant to eat food,
Mhm,
nutrients. And
mhm.
unfortunately, the food itself, and I don't want this to be a soap opera, but the food itself is not nutritionally complete. I don't care how well you eat. You must supplement your diet. So if you're going to supplement, why not supplement with the best?
Yeah.
And that's what I am so grateful that I have found it, because I've been in the wellness space for 30 years, and when I found
Mhm.
this company, it was like I really didn't think it would make a difference,
Yeah.
and I cannot believe the difference.
Yes.
Elite science, I always say science has come a long way. Science and technology. the technology of letting nutrients get into your body and be absorbed. It is amazing. And one of the things that we have, it's called liposome. It's the way to protect the nutrients so that it goes, because let's have a little health lesson. Everybody knows that your stomach is full of acid.
Yes.
And you know, especially know it when it backs up on you. When it backs up on you. Well, when this liposome, it's technology. This liposome, it surrounds the nutrient molecules so that it gets through all of that acid and down into your gut. And your gut is where most of your issues come from. That acid reflux, people that have IBS, Crohn's, that's all in our gut. Well, our gut and our brain health are related. Okay. And when you have this liposome technology, and it is and I mean, they show us how it looks like, what it looks like. It's called liposome technology to protect the nutrients. The nutrients are in the middle, and this liposome technology is around it. It's a molecule that surrounds the inner nutrients, and it lets it get through your digestive system and into your gut.
Now, how does you said it's it's technology? So
it's a technology. It's a technology tool. I have don't ask me, no idea. All I know is the name of it and why it works and how it works. It's called liposome technology. LIPOSOME. You can look it up. Liposome technology. But what it does is it protects the nutrients to go through your system to get to your gut.
Wow. So yeah, that's something. Okay. Now now this is what I'm saying. Now that you're aware of this, Queen, next week, whatever, you're going to have to bring more.
I will bring you a slide. I'll bring you a slide that shows what it does. And it is a patented, trademarked, and I wasn't expecting to talk about liposome technology. So I don't remember. All I know is how it is and how it works.
No, it's amazing what you're talking about. I just want more of it. So you basic. Yeah. So see, we always give ourselves homework assignments, everybody.
Yeah, so I'll get you the skinny on liposome technology. So while we're talking about that, let's talk about one other process that your body goes through. And it's when you fast, when you do long fasts, like 24 to 48 hours or 60-hour fasts. Most people can't fast. I was one of them. I could never fast. But until they came up with this fasting aid that we have, and it's called Burn. But what it does is when your body goes into autophagy, it's AUTOPHAGY. And that was given the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2016. It was discovered that this is a bodily function that your body will do on its own when it's given the opportunity to fast. Okay. And it's just so next week we'll talk about liposome technology and autophagy and why it works. It's the body self-cleaning. And when your body self-cleans itself, well, guess what cells it gets rid of? The damaged ones. And what cells start with the big C word that we don't want in our body?
Yeah, that 13 years now I've been in remission. Yes.
And that's what autophagy does. It cleans out those cells that are causing all of the wasting away, and I'm not going to say the word because that would be making a health claim. But if you have that, let's talk.
Wow. See, this is why I like to have these conversations, especially when we do our show, because just let everybody know once out the month, myself and the Queen Barbara here is always just going to be the show that's just her and I. And we're going to be talking about things and items and interesting topics about things that's important, like health and mindset and stuff like that. And what we do as individuals, because I tell Barbara all the time, we're show hosts here, co-hosts, but we have our own business and we help others and we teach and we coach, just like Barbara does, her magic, I call her. So we're going to be talking, I'm just giving people an idea of what you're going to be expecting when we're both on here for the whole hour for the show. Right. So this is very, very interesting. And I can't wait for Barbara to bring the more energy.
It is fascinating. I mean,
Wow.
before 2 years ago, I had never ever heard. I mean, I had heard about intermittent fasting. It is
Mm,
so beneficial for your body. Knew
yep.
it, could never do it. So then it was like, what do you mean fast? I mean, I can't do that. I could barely go 6 or 8 hours. I would be really not doing well. I would get lightheaded and all that kind of stuff. And then a friend of mine said, "No, there's this new technology and product line that will help you to do it." And I'm like, "Well, okay, fine. I'm willing to try it." Well, guess what? My very first fast was 60 hours. And I could not believe, and I can tell you the minute it's like I got into autophagy. It's
Mm,
like my brain turned on because
mhm.
it cleans from the top down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you don't always, but I noticed it in my brain
Hmm.
that, oh wow, there must be something to this autophagy thing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
never
I mean,
before.
and I'm glad you're saying that because in the, like you said, physical sense, it's nice to know what goes on with your body because I fast for spiritual reasons. So
Right?
I
Yep.
might fast. I mean, the last fast I was on, it was 21 days.
Yeah.
That was just
Right.
recently.
Right.
And your body does, like you said, goes through that
Mhm.
where it was, after the third day
Right.
when I was fasting,
Mhm.
there were smells, there were different things that was coming to me that I didn't even realize that was kind of around me or I was feeling,
Yeah.
I was sensing. And I was like,
Yes.
why am I sensing so
Right.
more now than I was 2, 3 days ago with this fast?
Yep.
So it's, yeah, you go through that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like autophagy is like a major detox for your body to
Yeah.
get all of the damaged or the damaged cells, the ones that are misshapen, the damaged proteins. But what happens is when you get into these long fasts, that's when your human growth hormone kicks in. It replaces those damaged cells with healthy cells.
So maybe that's why I feel more alert. I feel more, even though I'm fasting, there's a lot of other things going on with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because your body is clean, your body is doing a detox. And I have to admit it, our lifestyle, we can eat all day every day. Every moment of every day if we wanted to. Well, that's not good for your body. Of course, because it never gives your body a chance to rest and
Right.
clean itself. See, before we had convenience food, like the hunters and gatherers, they went and hunted. If there wasn't food, well, guess what? You fasted, but they didn't think of it as fasting,
Yeah,
and
they were just not eating.
I have fasted. Right. It was just an automatic fast because there was no food available. Or like you had dinner and then it got dark and you didn't eat again until the next morning.
Morning.
And breakfast is the term for break your fast
Yes, yeah.
overnight. Well, now, I mean, I'm sorry, I have teenagers in the house.
What the
2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up to food. They're cooking at 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning. DoorDash comes to the door at
oh,
11
yeah.
at night, because there's teenagers in the house. And I'm like, what? Why am I smelling food? But of course, then your body thinks, oh,
It's
gee,
time.
like it's time. It's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, no, Barbie, you were staying in bed. You're not getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go and sample, you
I was
know.
going to ask you when that happens sometime with the teenagers and the
Oh,
food. Do you
oh,
sometime you kind of,
yes, dude, yeah, no, 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 no. And because that can become a habit too, and that's what
yes,
happens. And
yes.
people get into the habit of just eating whenever. And and I am going to be very transparent for one little second here. Most of the eating that I did was all emotional eating.
Mm,
It wasn't that I was hungry.
yeah.
I was just, and now that I have, through positive intelligence and the fact that I'm a positive intelligence coach,
Mm,
those voices in your head that's beating you up,
mm,
they're telling you to eat to
mm,
satisfy me. Yeah, well, no, you don't have to do that because you
mm,
have to get to the other side of your brain, to your right side of your brain. That's the creative side that, yeah, and you can say to yourself, yeah, no, you don't need that. And so now I can say that. I can say, yeah, no, I don't need that. You're not hungry. Because
mm,
I've learned it's a learned. So that's one of
mm.
the things that I teach. And it's like, oh,
It,
how
I
to
know I was talking to nutritionists a few weeks ago, and they said a lot of times they said, Barbara, when you feel like you need something to eat or you're hungry, they said you're really not hungry at that time. They said just get some water. They said just right then.
And most of the time, your body is thirsty because your
Yeah.
body doesn't know the difference between thirst and hunger.
Yeah, that's what she
And
said.
yeah, and so one of the things, and we have 1 second to give you a little exercise that you can do when you are feeling that hungry monkey brain, and you literally know you're not hungry.
Mhm.
You're feeling that monkey brain. Sit with your okay. Let's do it for a second. Put your feet flat on the floor. Sit with your hands out here. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And now rub your 2 fingers together, your thumb and your first finger. And I want you to do it so slowly that you can actually feel the ridges on your fingertips. You're feeling the ridges. Now take another deep breath. Let it out. So how are you feeling?
I was trying to feel the ridges. I don't feel ridges. They're
You're,
smooth.
you're
They're
feel
smooth.
the ridges. You'll feel the ridges. Just feel that. Just feel. Just if you don't have like my ridges are very little, but you'll just
Yeah,
feel
me
the
too.
pressure. You'll feel the pressure of rubbing. It doesn't matter if it's the ridges, but you'll feel the pressure of rubbing your 2 fingers together.
Yeah.
It's that sensation that you get present with the sensation of rubbing your fingers together.
So that won't let you think about
That takes you out of your left brain, survival brain, into your right brain, creative brain.
Oh, okay.
And that's where your emotion, that's in your left brain is like, no, your reaction brain. When you can get present on your other side of your brain and it calms that monkey brain. And so then you can decide, okay, am I really hungry?
Mm.
Am I not?
Ah.
Well, that's one of the things I teach.
I love it, love it, love it. Well, you know what? We're going to, like we said, today is our title is How Did Women's History Month Become? We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then me, Barbara, and I, we did our homework assignment, hopefully, that we were going to pick one woman that we kind of admire in history, that they were in history, and kind of give a little bit of spiel about them and the reason why you picked them as your person, as you think about them as a mentor in your life. So we're going to be right back after this one sponsor. So just that little montage. Barbara's so funny. Just that little montage of women of
Exactly.
different ages and nationalities of you maybe didn't know that created history,
Mhm.
and some of them still are. So
Yes.
I want to get first of all, Barbara, before we dig a little bit into women's history on both ends of what we think about it, and then having our person that we maybe chose as a mentor.
Yep.
Just to give a little clarity, I mean, I know a lot of people say, okay, Barbara, I know what Women's History Month is. I said, well, yeah, but it's good to always get the backing. So, Women's History Month is an annual observation to highlight the contribute of women to events in history and contemporary society. It's celebrated during March in the US and the US Kingdom and Australia, corresponding with the International Women's Day, which is coming up this Friday, and that's March 8th. It's observed during October in Canada. So Barbara knows this one because Barbara's from Canada. Of course, with the celebration of Persons Day in October 18th. A week-long observation in Sonoma County, California in 1978 was substantial chant by Greta Lerner and the National Women's History Alliance to be recognized as a national week 1980 and then month in 1987 in the USA, spread it internationally after that. So it started around 1978. They did it for a week, and then in 1980 they decided to recognize it for the whole month of March.
Yeah, and isn't that fun? Because and that's absolutely true, and yet that is the most current history. The actual, but where did the roots come from? Where did it start? Because of the celebrations that have brought it into national and international recognition. However, I always, you know me.
Yeah,
I like to go back and see how things started.
Yeah.
Well, how the Women's History Month, it can trace its roots back to like 18. Oh, I shouldn't. Okay, 18. Okay, I was going to see if you knew. I was going to have you guess. 1857.
Oh, 18.
And what happened back then is they were the women in New York City were protesting the poor working conditions in the factories.
Oh.
Of the working conditions. So they were protesting. And they were and of course, and back then they did not only women, but they did women and children. And they would, because little kids had these little things to get into little places. Now we have, the robots that can get into those little places, but women. And so they were protesting just the working conditions. But the very first day, and there was only one day, was in 1909. And look at how long it took to get recognition from 1909 back to right. And so we've come. So ladies,
a long way.
Congratulate. We have come a long way.
Yeah. I mean, we're still, but that blows my mind every time, Barbara. I love history, and I love when you bring it to us too. So I said today I wanted to add to it because you're always bringing the good information. But especially for Women's Month, because I always tell people, always be, like you said earlier, forever learning.
Right. Be a learner.
Go in and research and look at things a little bit more deeper. I mean, we seem to always get the surface of things. We're like, oh yeah, because everybody else, they told me, I know it's this, whatever. But do you really understand where things were born from? And like Barbara said,
1857.
1857. We're in 2024. That's a long time, to make sure that we were being honored by women and see where it came from. Like Barbara said, just from the factories.
They were protesting factories. And, and so that's how so many organizations, came about. So one of the things I thought we could talk about too a little bit, it was just some little things that you can do to celebrate Women's History Month.
Okay, that's good. Before we get to our little mentors, go ahead.
Well, okay. So one of the things, and I do this regularly anyways, but for those people, TEDx, YouTube is your friend. And there are TEDx talks on every subject.
Yes.
So for Women's History Month, watch TEDx talk, or one or two or three, or I would suggest 5, on some of the women. You can put in women's TEDx talks and see which one, and just pick a subject that, like, oh, gee, I didn't know they could talk about that. Whatever resonates with you, but just watch the TEDx talks. Like some of the ones that I watch I watch Brene Brown. She's all about visibility and vulnerable, being vulnerable in your visibility. Okay.
Yes.
One of the ones that I like is Amy Cuddy. I've watched her a couple of times, and she talks about how to be prepared with your power post.
Yeah.
to be as a woman, to stand in your power. We have power as a woman, and how to practice it. Just stand with your shoulders back and your Wonder Woman, and to do all that. Um,
I love
and
it.
so then, yeah, these are all things that you can learn from a TEDx talk,
Mhm.
and they are. And one of the things, it always just cracks me up when people, well, I don't have time to do that. Do you have 20 minutes to sit there and let your nails dry? Oh, so you're sitting letting your nails dry. Okay, so 20 minutes, you listen to a TED talk. If you're sitting down, like, okay, I'm gonna tell one little thing. I just bought myself an EMS foot massager. It's electrical, it's thick, but it's to put my feet on. Well,
Ooh,
it has a 15-minute cycle. Well, guess what I do when I'm doing my 15 minutes? I watch things
that's all.
because I'm just sitting here relaxing, and I listen to something, because not only because it goes into your subconscious, even if you aren't present to it, everything that you hear goes into your subconscious. And
Yes.
you will be amazed at that, because then sometimes later on, maybe even years later, you'll say, where did that come from? Well,
Yep.
because sometimes at some time in your past, you have listened to something.
Yes.
So that's why always, it doesn't matter if you have your eyes closed, if you're totally present with it, it's better to
Mhm.
be present with it. But sometimes I watch the TED Talks and I take notes.
Yeah.
Oh, I could use that. I could use that.
Mhm.
Um, but and on a personal note, and because we're already talking about health, learn something about the history of women's health.
Yes. Yes.
There is
We.
history. There is history in women's health. So, and I loved our title days. How did women's history become? Well, how has your history have you become the woman that you are?
Okay, now I got to add to that because you just opened the door. You opened the door, Queen. That's what she does. So, with that, remember earlier I stated that we've been almost 5 years. And
Mm-hmm.
I said I wanted to put that out there to everybody that each and every one of us makes history in our own way.
Yeah.
And myself and this queen over here, I'm pointing right. Am I pointing right? There we go. Yeah. That
That's
queen right over there. Right there. Right there. Miss
that.
Queen Wonderful. We have made history in media. Think about this, Barbara. We have.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Look at Barbara. I see. You can just see she just popped up like like a light bulb. She's like, "Ooh, yes." And
Ooh.
let's use this on our. Okay, this is me with my visibility hat on. Use this on our social media and everywhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have made history within media. We have made history that we've been the longest show on E360 TV. One of the longest shows.
Wow. Ah! I'll take that. Oh boy. Well, we're gonna have to do a blurb. We're gonna have to do a blurb about that, and just yes, that's
Yeah,
that's
one of
history.
the longest shows on history on
One of the longest.
E360 with media with our show. And I just discovered that and found
I,
that out just the other day. And I wanted to leave,
I
I wanted to save it for this because I felt like it was
yeah.
the most important because of what we're talking about far as women in history and becoming history. So
Right.
so this just tells everybody, just like Barbara said, it doesn't matter what age you are, as long as you're sitting here, have lungs to breathe and able to
Exactly.
talk and be able to just exhort your gifts that you have in you, your purpose,
Right.
your why, whatever you want to call it, because people have different names for it, that
Yeah.
you can do. It's not impossible. Nothing's impossible.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
yeah. So
Eh,
congratulations, Queen.
Thank you. Oh, that is awesome. Oh, I can't wait to share it.
I
That's
gave her a
yes,
surprise.
I do. Ooh, we get to do a happy dance. And that's the biggest thing, is to celebrate. I am going to be celebrating this today. This is good.
Yes,
Well, and I'm going to be
and
celebrating
you
it for a while.
should, and you should, Queen. That's yeah, and think of and this thing. I just want people to think about this too, and then we'll go to. I think you have some more tips or your mentor or whatever we want to do for
Yeah,
the
right.
rest of
We're
the
going to do
call.
that.
But I always tell people, you know, I have a platform. We have a platform. Barbara, she has many shows. I have many shows. Most of the times we're on each other's show or our own shows. We're just there, right? That's what we are. That's what we do. That's what our love is. That's what our gem is, what you want to say. And I told myself, Barbara, just 2 years ago, I said, I need to start using the platform that I have to really make the awareness, the positivity, all that. Just like we said, time to shine happiness show. I said, so I just wanted people just to really think about what kind of platform, and it doesn't have to be a TV streaming. It could be this. And what I'm talking about is your mouth,
Your mouth,
your voice, what you speak about. That can be your platform. If you see something that you really believe in and you really want to just talk about it so strongly about it, you can do that to get it out there. And you know, I got to put a little disclaimer. You know, you want to make sure that you do it in a sense that it's going to make sense. You don't hurt nobody. And, you know, we don't want to go. That's a whole nother, you know, that you can go that way. But let's make sure it's a positive and people are understanding what you're trying to do to help in whatever situation. So use your platform. If it's a show, if you're going to be on somebody's show and ask them that, if it's just your voice and you're just voicing it out. That's why technology is so beautiful when it works. Because you can talk globally. Yeah.
You can talk globally. And like one of the things this morning that I have come to realize for myself, you know, my girlfriend Carol lives in Texas. She came like this close to losing her house because of the fires in the panhandle of Texas. In her town, it's like of 2,000 people, 100 homes, just in her town, 100 homes burnt. A friend of hers is one of the bankers, but he was also a cattle rancher. He has lost everything, including his entire herd, and not only the herd itself, but the calves. All the calves have got there. These fires in Texas right now have destroyed already 1 million acres of Texas.
Oh my God.
Of the panhandle. We are praying for rain. However, we are also praying that people will step up. And one of the things this morning, I was in my closet and Carol and I talked about it yesterday, that she was telling us about one of the gals that's in her town, and she had on a tattered coat and she was so excited because they lost everything. I mean, everything. And I said, you know what? I've got some sweatshirts and stuff in my closet that I haven't worn, and I'll never wear them because I don't like over the head sweatshirts anymore. And I said, you know what? I'm going to put them in a box and ship them off to you. Well, this morning it was like, yeah, Barbara, if you have stuff, that everybody else has stuff. So now one of my things today is that I'm going to start a clothing drive. Because I'm going to find who is going to accept it and all the logistics behind it. But that was the thing this morning. It was like, well, Barbara, there's probably other people who have stuff that they want to get rid of. And if I can get people to donate the shipping, get people to donate the boxes, find the charity, the organizations that are already doing stuff, partner with them. Partner with them. You don't have to do it all. I realized, like I was like blown my mind. It's like, how am I going to do all that? Well, Barbara, take the word I out of it. It's not about you. Who is already doing it, and how can you partner with?
Yes.
Who already have some of these things in place. Yes. All you have to do is be willing to say, hey, you know what? I'll help.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. You use, and like you said, I love how you said, Barbara, take the I out of it. So once you take the eye out of it, now you have even more possibilities to get what you're trying to do. You know what you're trying to do.
Wow. Because right now, Texas needs help.
Oh my God!
They need clothes, and they said they don't even care if they're. And my girlfriend said, "Oh, I need to wash them." They said, "We don't care if they're washed, even if they're washed, as long as they're horribly bad." But you know, if they're dusty, she said, well, they've been in my garage, so they're a little dusty. So what? People, they have nothing. Nothing.
Wow.
The kids have nothing. Send it. And they will sort through it and just,
wow. Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention, Barbara, and thank you for being such a pivotal person to say, you know what, I want to do something, and this is what I'm going to do in a drive. So Yeah, if I can be
And
part of
just
it, I'm always, I always every 6 months I look at what I have and I'm like, if I'm not using it, if it's
yeah,
not doing anything,
right,
I give it to Goodwill. So yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
And so right now, and I had just thought that I would do. Now I know where it's going.
Mhm.
So now I've just got to find the organizations here in the Chicago area that are already got something
Doing-
in
yeah.
place that
Mhm.
to get it down there. And see who I can partner with, a church or something organization. But I just had this thought this morning, and now I'm voicing it. And I think that's one of the things too is when you have a thought. So much of women's history came because one woman, sometimes just one woman,
Mhm.
like the woman back in 1857. It had to start with one woman who said, "You
Mhm.
know what? We deserve better working
Mhm.
conditions."
There we go.
And she told her friend, and who said, "Well, I'll join you. Let's do something." And now we have Women's History Month. Ladies, be proud. Be
Yeah.
proud of where you are and what you're doing and what you've become. And let's be extravagantly generous with our gifts and our talents and our time.
Yes, yes. So what I want to do, because of time, that you said
That's
time,
a yes.
what we're going to do, and Barbara, hopefully this is okay because I'm kind of just thinking of it right now. The thought
Okay.
just in my head is
Good.
that since it is the month of March and it is, Women's History Month,
Mhm.
for the next few shows that we have in March, when we come on the first 30 minutes,
Yeah.
let's bring a person that we admire from history. Because I know we were going to try to do one, you and make me, but with timing, and I don't want to rush it. I don't want to rush it
Right.
because I want us to kind of give us some background of that person and
Okay.
then say why that you chose this particular one to talk about that day,
Right.
that kind of helped you or gave you some, whatever in your life. So
Right.
let's do that for the following Tuesdays until the end of March.
Yeah, till the end of March. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Because
yeah.
there are some phenomenal women in history, but it starts everything. Every movement starts with a thought. Every movement
So
starts with a
true.
thought. Doesn't matter, good, bad, every movement starts with a
Starts
thought.
with a thought.
So, and your thought comes, and most of the time it will come from your inner being, your gut instinct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Trust it, but know in that moment that you don't have to do it alone.
Yes.
Just take one step to, like this morning, I knew that. So, right now, after this, I've got a call, and Carol and I have a call, and it's going to be like, okay, Carol, we need to talk about how to get some stuff to Texas
So Texas, yeah, to help.
because she's on the ground. I mean, she came that close to being evacuated.
I'm so glad that she's okay.
Just
Mhm.
evacuated.
Yeah.
But the town within like it was like the fire was in like I think like 4 or 5 miles of her house. This is not yeah.
Oh,
And she had no power for 4 days. Uh, and so yeah.
now are the fires are still going,
Oh,
or
they're still on. Oh yeah, they're not contained yet.
oh my God? So can it still get to her? Basically, I
Oh
mean,
yeah, like but some of the roads around her are closed. But
okay.
it went part of the fire went from Abilene, Texas to almost St. Louis,
Mm.
Kansas City. That's how big the fire is. Well over, and then one of the fires was 1,000,000 acres.
Oh, I gotta check on. It's funny you okay. You said in Texas. Well, I gotta
The
see where she. I
Texas,
think
the
she's in
Texas
Dallas.
Panhandle, Kansas, and up and almost up
Mhm.
into like Oklahoma.
Okay, so it's that okay that direction. Because yeah, I was thinking I suppose in April I supposed to be going to Texas to do a speaking.
Well, this is the Panhandle, the part that sticks up.
So
The
yeah,
Panhandle,
I think
the part
it's
that
in
sticks up.
Dallas or something. But
It
yeah, I
sure
have to check. But wow, wow, Barbara. Well,
is.
Barbara, see, this is well, we have 1 minute. So in
Yeah.
1 minute, I want Barbara to close out what she usually does regarding our show. So Barbara,
Yeah.
you give us that
Welcome,
reminder.
welcome to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. And the thing is, where the show is that this is your time to shine. It's your time. It is your time in history. It is your time in your life. It is the time to take stock of where you are and shine like a diamond. Because happiness, we want to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. And when you can be extravagantly generous, as I already said, with your time, your talent, you can be known, and it does not matter how old you are. Just
Doesn't-
just listen to that inner prompting and just say yes.
Ooh, anything's impossible. And with that, we will see you next Tuesday. Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody. Have a good one.